I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. We're joined by Lady Lunadi. Hi.
Hi.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on. Please introduce yourself to everybody.
Hello, everyone. My name is the Lady Lunadi, and call me Luna.
Hey, I appreciate that. And how long have you been a VTuber?
Okay. Well, I started officially streaming around like the end of December, and for a couple of months before that was basically just trying to figure out the technology. So there were streams before then, but I finally got everything set up and put together end of December.
So
like specifically December 26th. I remember that being the first stream that I finally had.
all of the
everything
keys
worked out.
all of the keys were in the right locks at that point.
Yes.
So you were kind of building up to it. You had a goal in mind when you first got started, huh?
No.
Oh, no, completely wrong.
Well, to be honest, the reason I started streaming was because I wanted to get better about actually speaking. Now, I've been streaming for that's December,
Right.
end of December 2022, so maybe almost 2 years. And I don't know if I've actually succeeded.
Well,
But before I started streaming, I actually was not for any kind of what do you call it? Like, I guess like success, I guess. I would travel blog and try to make little videos and things like that, mainly for myself to keep a log of where I've been because I love to travel.
cool.
And writing never really got anywhere with me because I have a hard time focusing. So I decided, let me just do word of, just talk.
Yeah, audio
Tell my
blog
story
type
that
thing.
way.
Yeah. Oh, cool. That's
So I
excellent.
started a podcast,
Wow. Yeah,
but it
but
didn't go anywhere because I wouldn't be able to just do stream of thought speech. I would record and then stop. And then I'd want to like write out the script, which completely defeated the purpose of having it be free talk.
yeah.
So I would try to practice, but I would be the kind of person who would record, try to do stream of thought speaking and stop it and say, I hated that. It's going to completely start over. And that wasn't working. So I said, you know what? I'm going to put myself on a stream. Doesn't matter if nobody's watching, but I can't do that. I can't stop the stream and start over again.
Yeah.
Because it's live.
Right. You basically you threw yourself in the deep end.
Yeah.
You could swim.
At this time, I was actually a face cam streamer.
Yeah. So why did you make the switch over?
Well, I kept canceling streams.
Oh.
I would be like, I need to do this. I need to practice. I need to stream like at least once a week or something, or maybe like ideally twice a week just to practice talking. But I would be like, I would think, you know what? I don't want to get out of my pajamas. I don't want to put my makeup on. I don't want to like clean my room.
Yeah.
Just not today.
Yeah.
And I kept canceling stream. And so I figured, well, I need to find a way so that's not an excuse.
And you felt did you know about VTubing before you started it, or was it something that kind of came up in the meantime?
This might be weird, but have you heard of the webcomic Questionable Content?
I think I might have heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, there's a webcomic called Questionable Content that I've been following for a while. I like a number of different webcomics that I kind of follow, but this one had a couple of characters in it who were VTubers. And I didn't actually realize this was a thing until I saw it in the comic. And I was like, is this real? And I looked it up and like, oh, it is. So it is real.
Yeah, there's a few people doing
wow.
it. You're the first person. You're the first person who's come up with that as the first contacted with VTubers, something along those lines.
It's just I wasn't really before I started streaming myself, I didn't actually spend that much time on Twitch.
Mm,
I didn't spend that much time around streamers, much less VTubers,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I don't actually watch I watched a lot of movies
Mm.
and I did watch YouTube, but literally only watched Markiplier and Jacksepticeye.
Yeah, I watched a lot of that myself.
So, so in those kinds of bubbles, right?
Yeah.
It's not, I didn't really have, I heard kind of maybe little bits and pieces about stuff like that, but never really looked into it until I wanted to look into it because it
Hmm.
was potentially a thing
Right.
that I could use. And I that's what I did. I basically started looking up what it would take to become a VTuber myself. And
Right.
again, I still didn't look at any, I had no experience with streaming. I didn't look at other VTubers because I didn't intend on this really being a thing for other people. And in a way that I've kind of maintained that because I've wanted to maintain that. I at the end of the day, um, I want to stream because I want to stream,
Yeah.
and it's always going to be for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a good way to take an eye to it. But in the meantime, you say that, and you got 1.6 thousand followers.
I have no idea what anybody is thinking.
Something's going right.
Well, what I discovered actually, and this was just kind of like a pleasant surprise in a way, because as I said from the beginning, I was using it as a tool to kind of improve my public speaking. You know, along with I was always relatively introverted,
Hmm.
a relatively introverted person, and I was never really that great at expressing myself with any kind of eloquence.
Right.
And so it was just a way for me to try to get better at that that would remove my ability to kind of shoot myself in the foot. Because you don't get any practice if you keep saying nope, not gonna take that one, gonna delete that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you gotta just go through, just follow through, trust the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I as the thing that I discovered once I started streaming, once I started um looking into or exploring other communities, because end of December, once I got my VTuber set up and my computer set up that so it could actually run things properly,
Right.
I I looked at my OBS, I looked at my setup and been like, okay, well, I don't even know what to do. I don't know what to do. How do people do this? What is even the process? Because I realized I'd start and be like, okay, do I just go? I hit start and just go? Do I greet anybody? There's nobody watching, but do I still act like somebody's greeting? Do I have something on the screen? Like, or what do I have on the screen? So I basically went to the homepage of Twitter
Hmm.
and scrolled down and kind of tried to find streams that were kind of similar in terms of having similar widgets. I had started with a cat cam because I've got my cats, and I
Right.
figured like let me throw that on.
Oh yeah.
Um, and I looked at other VTubers, and from there, from meeting a few actually super welcoming communities
Hmm.
and streamers, I found out that it's actually a really cool place to meet a lot of supportive and like-minded people from all over the world.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really fascinating, like all these networks of not just not just stream other streamers, but viewers from different communities kind of meshing together
Yeah.
in a way. It's just the whole growing process has been um unbelievable,
Hmm.
and there have been things that I never thought that I would experience having started streaming.
It's opened up a
So,
whole kind of new universe for you, hasn't it?
oh yeah, like I have um I can have conversations with people from all walks of life. I can like have conversations about different things that I never would have thought of.
Mm.
I've learned from people who have different levels of expertise, which is cool. A couple. One of my favorite things that I want to keep doing actually is a kind of Luna Learns series where I've had like an artist friend
Hmm.
who also streams. I had her come onto my stream and we did a draw along where she taught me how to use on a basic level, of course, because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
Um, how to use Clip Studio Paint, and then I found somebody else who came online and did a kind of beginner crash course in using Blender. And I'm planning to do another one where somebody teaches me basic Python to try to make a really basic game. And that kind of thing is through people that I, wouldn't have met otherwise or even had the opportunity to set up such an event for, you know?
That sounds brilliant, really. I mean, and you have developed the ability to take people along with you. And my guess is because these are things that you're interested in. And I've always thought that
Oh, yeah.
people who are interested in and in enjoying what they're doing naturally will bring people with them. If
Well, you tend to like attract like, right? Like attracts like.
right, right.
Um, and I think that's very important to maintain
Mhm.
no matter what you do.
Oh yeah, yeah. And if you're interested in something, yeah, obviously. I think just from the little talk I've had with you here, it sounds like you're a pretty curious person when it comes to these
I
type
want
of
to learn
things.
everything.
Yeah, and that makes such a big difference in when you're talking to somebody and when you're listening to what they're doing or watching them, because you're curious in it. Then people who are maybe just tuning in and say, "Well, they they're into it. Maybe I can get into it too," and then they'll follow along with you. But they come back because of the person doing it, not necessarily because of the may come there first because of what you're doing, but it's the person doing it that they come back for.
I'd like to think so.
Well, I mean, I think the proof's in the pudding, isn't it? I mean, I mean, this is really it's great to hear that you've enjoyed yourself so much, and it's kind of blossomed out for you into a whole new um, culture
Well,
almost for you. That's
that's
really.
the positive side of the experience.
Hmm.
The not so positive side of the experience is that and even for me who's explicitly from the very beginning
Hmm.
who explicitly decided, oh, you know what, actually I missed a part of my beginning story and I really feel like I would be doing him a disservice by not mentioning
Go ahead.
actually
Go ahead.
um like he didn't introduce me to VTube, he wanted me to start streaming. Actually, I
Mhm.
didn't come up with the idea from streaming, but I had a friend who told me that I should stream um because he thought I'd have a lot to say, a lot to share. And
Right.
I fought him for the longest time because who would watch me? Um and he had mentioned that, and then it that's why when I was having trouble with my recording, I decided, okay, fine, I'm going to give the streaming a chance.
Yeah.
So I wanted to mention that because I was like, oh no, I cannot um forget
Go ahead. Go ahead and let
him.
him mention him if you'd like to. I mean,
Yeah, he's Zolite on Twitch, but he hasn't been streaming recently because of real life
mm,
um things, but he's a very important part of my journey.
mm,
And the reason why I bring him up right now is because when I started growing a little bit, he was always very supportive, very excited for me,
mm,
but I didn't enjoy talking about the numbers.
mm,
I wasn't comfortable with the numbers because I didn't want it to be about the numbers. I knew that there was a big risk of it being all about the numbers,
right.
which are things that are really out of my control.
For the,
People
yeah, for the
can
most part, yeah.
decide they like me or don't like me. They might like me one day and completely dislike me another day.
Hmm.
And if I get really into those numbers to see those fluctuations, which are natural, they're always going to fluctuate.
Right.
And I know this, but it's really hard sometimes to kind of put that aside. Even as someone who would actually scold him for being excited about my numbers, I'm like, I don't want it to be, I don't want to make it about the numbers. Be excited for the improvements that I'm making in my stream for how I'm building up my channel in
Right.
terms of like, things like the content I'm creating, but not for the number of followers or the average count of yada yada yada. That's not I want to avoid that. And I think like maybe a few like 10 months in or 8 months in or so, I found myself getting kind of not quite numbers obsessed, but kind of finding like, my stomach would drop if I saw a viewer count
Yeah.
drop or anything like that. And I think a lot of people can relate to it.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So I decided I'm not gonna look at any of that anymore.
Mm. Well, you're doing it for you. I mean, you said when you started that this was something you wanted to get on. You wanted to express yourself, and you wanted to explore it.
Yeah.
And you're
And it
in.
was always supposed to be no matter if there was zero. I was like, I'm gonna keep doing it even if there's zero followers. But
Wow.
even for me, like it was I found myself falling into the mindset of, oh no, what do I need to do to get people back?
Mm.
And that can be a very toxic
Oh, yeah.
um mindset, the kind of obsession.
Yeah.
And especially when it's something that you really, really can't do much about, honestly.
It could be, especially when I look at smaller folks who are just getting started. What's the difference between 17 and 15? I mean,
Mm-mm.
it's not that much.
It's
Maybe somebody had to
not.
use the bathroom. Maybe their computer accidentally shut off. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily something you did. Um,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of
But it's
reasons.
easy to get into that, to get into your own head. What did I do wrong?
Mm,
You know?
well,
And not for nothing, like it can get frustrating for sure
mm,
if you want to have a lot more interaction to meet like other people, if your goal is to kind of build and but there are things I don't know that you can maybe try, but you shoot yourself in the foot when you start obsessing, I think,
yeah. When
because people notice the desperation.
yeah, that's true. They notice the desperation as much as they notice you're being interested in something and you're
Mm,
enjoying something, and it does make a big difference when that happens. When you get to the point of you're doing something and you don't enjoy it anymore,
yes.
they're going to know that.
Exactly. I find it's always better to be much more authentic, much more genuine,
Mm,
whether or not you are, um, not feeling it today,
yeah, yeah,
or are particularly enthusiastic today.
yeah,
But this is, I think that's important.
yeah.
Although, I'm saying this as somebody who is skeptical about, at least personal wise, ever potentially making it a full-time thing.
Well,
Because I know that that's a very different situation
there's a lot of things that have
than
to
from
happen.
making a podcast.
There's a lot of things that have to happen, but it can happen.
It can, but I think it would if it's your only livelihood, then there's a lot more pressure.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's so much, and you talk about the numbers. The numbers do mean something at that point. Because it means
Yeah.
sponsorship. It means money.
Yes. That's what I mean with my disclaimer of like I am coming at this where this is not something that I, at least at this point, um feel that I personally would be capable of doing full time, because it would require probably me, I don't know, get doing compromising a little bit more with what I want to do with my channel,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
I can understand that. In the meantime, though, if somebody gave you a check for $1 million and said, "Do
I
this,"
want to say no.
I'd say, is that all the zeros you can put on that thing?
Well, okay, to be fair, it depends on what they would require of me in
Mm,
exchange for that million.
true, true. But I certainly would take a
Now, if
look at
they
that
were to
check.
like, if I had to, what do you call it? Um, say that I vouch for something that I feel morally bankrupt, then
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about that.
No, it'd have to be a lot bigger check than that. But I was in radio. There's no group of people, and I say that as a proud former radio guy, that mooch more
Mm.
than radio people, because we'll take anything that's free. It doesn't make any difference. T-shirts that don't fit,
And
we'll take it.
but don't get me wrong, I'll take t-shirts and stuff that don't fit. Again, this is a great hobby that I'm having fun with, but at the same time, like, oh, throw me a game key. I'm excited. Let's go. I don't spend my money on that. Oh, thank goodness.
Well, I got to tell you this too. You've got one of those voices that you can hear when you're smiling.
I think that's not just me though. I think I just smile a lot.
Well, I know, but it comes across that way, and
I
that's great for what you're trying to do.
I think everybody's voice changes when they smile. That's
Mhm.
one thing. I used to be in sales like way back.
Oh,
Like my first job out of uni, I think I lasted a year before I was like, nope.
well, that was finally
But
snuffed out.
yeah, but one of the things that I do remember is that, like, you pick up the phone and you say, "Hi, how's it going?" versus "Hi, how's it going?" You can hear, like, lifting your lips into a smile just changes your voice in a way.
Mhm.
You can hear the smile. It's important to have that or
It's
do
it's
that
it's a
anyway.
lot more welcoming. It immediately breaks down barriers.
I'm
It,
just pretty lucky that I tend to be pretty giggly and smiley naturally, so
I'm just
it's
I'm just
not
na-
that hard
I'm just a goof,
for
so
me.
it helps me out quite a bit. Well, when you're on the stream, what types of things that you talked about? The learning with Luna type stuff. What other
Learning with Looney.
Luna? I,
I like that.
yeah, well, you can do that too if you like. I'll let you have that one. Um, but what other types of things are you doing on the stream? I know you played Stardew Valley a little while ago.
Oh, I did just do Stardew Valley. I play all kinds of games. I would guess I would consider myself a variety streamer,
Mm-hmm.
because I am a variety streamer.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I've played all sorts of video games that I've wanted to get into because for the longest time, I, I Okay, so I grew up, I enjoyed playing video games. I had a Sega Genesis and a Nintendo 64 and a PlayStation
Whoa.
back in grade school up to high school. But once I graduated from high school, got into university and started, um,
Having to pay
meeting
attention.
people outside of the house.
Yeah.
I stopped really having time for video games. And then once I became an adult, I wouldn't be able to sit down and play video games because I'd play for 10 minutes and be like, I need to do the laundry, I need to do the dishes, I need to do any other number of things.
Yeah.
Rather than sit here and play video games, I would feel guilty.
Mm.
And when I started streaming, I didn't start streaming with playing video games. I started streaming with basically, kind of like one of my travel blogs. I had pictures of actually my first solo trip to Indonesia,
Mm.
and I went through pictures and I just tried telling the narrative of my experiences for traveling all by myself for the very first time.
Wow.
But then the next stream, I was like, well, I don't have a topic that I really feel prepared for. Let me just play a video game on stream. That's what people do. Sure, let me just do that. I'll practice speaking anyway because I'll talk about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I discovered, oh, hey, I don't feel guilty.
Hey.
So it's been a lot of catch up in terms of the video games and I play, and I tend to really like story. I tend to like a lot of really pretty aesthetics. I like music rhythm games, so there's a lot of that. Now that's with video games,
Right.
but I also I like to do art on stream, and I've been using and I've done Lego on stream, and I've done IRL wanders, although that's kind of put on hold because my IRL basically wandering around. I live in Japan, so
Mhm.
I've kind of just taken chat with me around basically different neighborhoods.
Right.
But I've been having some trouble with, data connection because
Uh,
all I have is my smartphone, a gimbal, and like a little pocket Wi-Fi, and
yeah.
it's not quite the best rig to have a steady data connection.
Yeah. You have to tell everybody else to
Um,
shut their stuff off so you can get your stuff done.
Yeah. But I'm saving up for an IRL backpack because actually I've been thinking about my streaming and I've been doing mostly video games, which was not my goal in the first place.
Hmm.
You recall,
Right.
my original goal was to get better about talking about traveling because traveling has always been something that I've really enjoyed, and especially as now that I'm getting accustomed to being outdoors because the pandemic really made me such a hermit.
And then a lot of
But
people.
yeah, but I'm starting to want to explore again,
Mm,
but I don't want to like quit streaming. I
right.
actually want to take people with me
Well, that's
because I think because
wonderful.
I like to travel alone.
Yeah.
Um, which is why I wanted to log it in the first place because I don't have that buddy to be like, oh, do you remember when you did this?
Mm, yeah, that's true. You have all the
um,
you have all the memories now shared with your chat, your audience.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And create the VODs. I've done a few small ones, like just again, just walking down the main river downtown Osaka. I've taken them down by the Namba area, which is downtown Osaka. I've
Mm.
taken chat through what's it? Did I go around Kyoto? Yeah, I
Mm.
did. I did go to Kyoto. I went to a park in Kyoto, walked around the river out there.
Mm-hmm.
Little things like that. I don't like really crowded areas, which is one of the issues
Yeah.
with that because unless you're downtown, the data connection isn't that great.
Right. Right. And then
Um,
I know there are some areas in Japan that are very very crowded.
hmm.
Kind of tough to get around in sometimes, but
Yeah, yeah.
I mean I would love to visit over there sometime. Um,
It's great. I always tell people, come on, I'll take you around.
well, my father went there in 1960. He was
Oh, it was probably a very different place then.
very different place. Well, he was stationed in Korea at the time and was out for the
Ah,
military. So he told me a few things about it, but I don't think it's quite going to be the same 60 some years later. Uh,
no, I wouldn't think so. I
yeah.
also used to live in Seoul,
Mm. So
in
I
South
mean, you've been
Korea.
all over the place. You've been. I mean, is there place?
Yeah.
Where do you want to go that you haven't been yet?
I'm planning to go to Peru in end of February.
Now
I'm
that's.
starting to travel again. Like I said, traveling has been a big part of why I'm even out here. I'm originally from the States,
Hmm.
um, but I moved out because a friend of mine did it, and said, "Why not me too? I'll go for a year and go back." And that year has lasted 15 years.
Yeah.
And I work, and during my breaks, it's a lot cheaper to travel
mm,
around places around here, or travel internationally
yeah.
from here than it is to try to get out of the states and travel
Oh,
internationally because it's so
absolutely.
huge. Those tickets are expensive.
Yes. Yes. Well, I you
Yeah.
you mentioned going to Indonesia, and I would like to see a lot of what's going on there because my guess is you could go there 15 times to 15 different places and find 15 completely different adventures.
I have lived in Japan for almost 10 years.
Hmm.
No, no, let me narrow that down even more. I have lived in Osaka for nearly 10 years, and there are still places in Osaka that I have not experienced, have not
Hmm.
seen. So you can spend your whole life going somewhere. There, like, things change, things evolve. There's always something new to see and experience. Not the big major, like, tourist traps, I would say.
Right.
But a lot of like maybe the little alleyways, which and little restaurants, one that wasn't there before that was there now, and the communities all change. And for me, that's the part of traveling that I really enjoyed, and that's the part that I wanted to share. The
You
little stories of the people that I met, like the random tuk-tuk driver that I
right.
you know waved down, but they actually spoke a little bit English, so I got to know about their family and yada yada yada. Or this um uh what do you hostel that I stayed in that he had a whole like incredible story about how he ended up opening it and running it. It just little things like that that don't really get recorded.
Right.
And I
Right.
mean, that's what I wanted to note
Yeah.
down.
Well, that's the exact same reason why I'm doing this,
Hmm.
because everybody's got their different stories, and otherwise we may not know about them.
Yes.
So that's why I'm interviewing folks, because the VTuber community has everybody's got different backgrounds and reasons why they're doing it, different
Hmm.
talents, that type of thing, and everybody is so interesting, and you learn more about yourself and learning about them too. And it's I hope folks are enjoying them, because we've done plenty of them now. I hope folks are folks are
I
enjoying
hope
them
so
by now.
too. It's good to hear where people are coming from. It's kind of mind-blowing um to just imagine the sheer number of different paths
Oh,
people have taken to
hmm,
get to where they are, and
absolutely.
some of the stories that I can't even imagine the stories they have,
Yeah,
you know.
some of them are, well, everybody's a triumph in my eyes, but
Hmm.
some of them are coming from a long way. Some of them kind of just, turned on the microphone and there it was. But they're all different and all interesting. I got I
Hmm.
got a big question for you here.
Okay.
You talked about areas transforming and all this, but how over the last couple of years have you transformed because of VTubing?
Because of VTubing. Ah, well, I'm a lot more comfortable talking about different topics. I know that. I have made some progress in my ability to express myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um I am I find myself able to stick to projects,
Mm-hmm.
I think. I'm a lot more focused because I have this channel, this community that even as supportive of me as they are, as in, if I tell them like, hey, you know what, I need to like not do this.
Yeah.
I said I was going to do this, just kidding. A lot of them will tell me like, no, you don't, it's fine, you can do that. I don't want to do that
Mm.
to them,
Yeah.
because like, no, I'm going to keep to my word. And what that does for me is actually keep me focused and keep me motivated to accomplish um, the goals and things that I set out to do. And so it's kind of the first time that I have some kind of direction.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of person, as I might have mentioned or might have hinted at earlier, who wants to do everything. Like you tell me you do bouldering. Like, you know what? I won't. I'll suck, but take me with you. I want to try. Go scuba diving. Okay, I want to try that too. I don't think I'll do great, but tell me
just
what to do, and I
just
can
give me enough
splash around a
oxygen.
little bit in the water.
Just give me enough oxygen, please. I don't
Yeah,
want.
exactly.
Yeah.
But like these are like I've done acrylic jewelry stuff. I got into nail art. I got into painting and knitting and guitar. And
Well.
just the point of all of this that I'm saying is that I've got all these things that I want to do, but my attention is spread so far apart.
Mm,
With streaming and this community that kind of keeps me accountable in a way,
yeah.
um, I prioritize which one goes first. You know,
Mm,
I say, okay, well, I actually have a schedule
mm,
that I pretty much follow.
yeah.
I'm gonna do this, like, I'm gonna do a cooking stream, or I'm gonna go here this day. Whereas before, I'd be like, oh yeah, no, I should go here, and I'd wake up that morning and be like, maybe not. Now it's like, well, I told them I'm gonna go, so I gotta go.
Yeah. Yeah. But you're still enjoying it as you're doing it. It's
Oh yeah, no, it's again, it's been a tool.
yeah.
I don't tell my chat I call them tools, but it's been a way to keep me on track, and I'm very grateful for all of that.
Well,
I really like that.
I
I also have developed apparently my IRL friends call a streamer voice.
ah the so you've got that voice down, Pat.
I think it's more like how do I do it? Like, oh my god, guys! Like, how did I heard it? I heard it in my most recent pod. Like, but my name is Lunadi. What?
What?
Oh my god! I'm not doing it on purpose. It kind of just like falls into the character.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, it's absolute delight to talk to you, and
Oh, I'm glad.
I'm really glad that you're enjoying yourself, and the folks obviously are enjoying being with you on the streams. We're going to have all the links we could find, and there's a bunch of them.
Hmm.
And
Hmm,
so
hmm, hmm.
make sure and follow what Lady Lunity's got going on, because there's just so many things. And again, you're going to find a lot of fun, and you're going to find a person that is enjoying themselves doing it, and you can't beat that. You can't beat that at all. Thank you so much for coming on. We're going to get you on again soon, okay?
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.